Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Off the Mic Sports Network here on YouTube. Latest video here talking WWE. And the huge news from Monday Night Raw last night that Monday Night Raw for the remainder of the year starting October 7th, I believe, is going to go back to 2 hours. It was a very nonchalant announcement, and I talked about it very briefly on my post show last night in regards to this. Listen, there's a lot of angles to tackle here. First of all, I think it's a very good decision from WWE to do this. I don't know what the circumstances of it were. If it was a stipulation from USA, considering that the contract with Raw and being on USA was going to end at the end of September, and they wanted to extend it because the Netflix partnership doesn't start until January of next year. So that's part of it. But also, Raw at 3 hours had been really hard to sell. So there's been a lot of discussion online about good or bad what this means, because I think under Triple H specifically, Raw at 3 hours has actually been really good, especially this year. Raw's been the best show in WWE, and it's been really hard to sell this as a 3 hour show, but finally as a 3 hour show, you were able to kind of sell, how long these things would go on and being able to keep fans engaged for a full 3 hours. That being said, there were times that the show would drag, specifically under Vince McMahon. It was really hard to get this done, and hard to believe that this went on for 12 years. The reality is, you even see it with SmackDown. It's just, it flows along for a 2 hour show. It's really hard to, engage people, because 3 hours just feels like, what should be a pay-per-view premium live event length of a show. So I think this is actually a really good idea to experiment with this. There's some AEW fans saying, USA, they didn't want WWE for an hour, so they took an hour off them. Guys, they've been outrating you by 1 million people for months. Don't talk shit about that. That's the first thing. The second thing is with them going to Netflix and what that means. I don't know what the circumstances of this Netflix partnership and how long they're going to do it for. Here's the thing. I think they might set it for 3 hours, and they may end whenever the fuck they want to. And you've seen it with premium live events on Peacock. There really isn't a hard out. Like on pay-per-view with AEW, where they're beholden to ending at the top of an hour. You saw it with the Sting retirement, that his speech got cut off because there was bad time management there. So going into these streaming partners to air your events, I think, is an advantage for WWE, and specifically with Netflix. I don't know how their live programming. My sister's pointed this out to me, that live comedy specials have hard outs. So again, they could have a 3 hour block reserved off, but they can end at 10:20 Eastern time, 10:30 Eastern time. They can end right at 8 if they want to go beyond at 11, or they can go beyond 11. It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. But I think what this whole thing with USA starting in October signifies is that I think for WWE, it's a smart thing to condense things, make these shows feel tighter and more exclusive, and not having to throw much filler. That being said, there hasn't been a ton of filler on these shows lately. A lot of things have made sense and have built storylines, but there's also some parts of the show that just really don't connect there. God bless the Pure Fusion Collective. There's just no pop. There's no heat behind them. It was nice to see Natalya as a part of the angle last night on Raw, and coming back after months away in her hometown of Calgary. So that was really cool. But you probably could have done without that segment last night. Again, there's sometimes you just have to find a way to piece together to get to 3 hours. So I think it's a good idea for WWE to kind of change this up a little bit, do this. Granted, yes, is it a little bit too late because Triple H has kind of made it easier to watch these shows? Yes. But don't act like you didn't want this for years, because everybody had been clamoring for this. A few years into the 3 hour format, it got to the point where it was like, okay, half this shit doesn't belong on television. It doesn't make any sense. And Vince McMahon just was kind of just stealing our viewership near the end of that. I don't want to go back to 2019, 2020, and 2021 WWE, because a lot of that was garbage. a lot of that was the worst WWE has ever begun. And a lot of the reason why AEW kind of had its boom period in that stretch during its first like 3 years as a company. But then once Triple H took over, once Cody Rhodes was gone, and once the CM Punk first incident Brawl Out happened, there was this wave of momentum that went back to WWE. And it's now in its biggest boom period of all time. You could experiment and do things. You have leeway to like, change some things up. So I'm behind this. I really am. I'm really excited to see what it looks like. And in terms of what Netflix will look like, who's to say? But I like the idea of having kind of like a loose end time, and like you won't have to like, be looking up the clock saying, oh, it's about to end. Oh, it's about to end. You're not going to have to deal with television hard outs or anything like that. So that's going to be kind of neat. So we'll see where all that sort of stuff goes as we get down the line here towards the Netflix era. I'm really excited to see that. Like, share, and subscribe to. We've now expanded it to not only sports entertainment and pro wrestling. Again, sorry if I offended you by saying sports entertainment. But also we got sports takes on here. It's now, again, the Off the Mic Sports Network. Very excited. OT Mike Sports on Twitter, Off the Mic 28 if you want to follow me. Thanks to all for the love and support, and I will talk to you guys soon.